looking for a home. Well, after they miss out on 2, 3, 4 of them, they think, okay, I'm going to start going to the listing agent. And I'm going to have, that's going to help hedge my bets and get the deal. And that is not always the situation. So it's really about how was those contracts written?
Welcome to Real Estate Exposed.
Versus what $500,000 is going to get you here in Charlotte County.
All things real estate in the Charlotte and Sarasota County markets.
Yes, sir. At that point, I'll have to actually put pants on and not shorts.
We got Matt Patterson and Scott Newcom on the other end of this connection.
It's so crucial to have, the correct marketing so your home stands out.
Stepped out for a second.
I'm here.
He's back.
It was him. I never said it. He said you were on the boat.
He continues to say that no matter how long my coughing or my sneezing is residual.
I still see a bit of a sunburn that I don't think is from being ill.
You can't win. You just can't win.
Well,
there's no sympathy.
Remember, there's health, and then there's mental health, and there is such a thing as a mental health day too.
Amen to that.
Amen.
It would
with
take
this,
a lot longer than a week to repair the mental damage that has been done. I have a feeling.
All right, gentlemen. We've got a very active show ahead of us today, I am just sure. Ending, of course, as we typically do with the picks of the week. That's always the exciting part because folks get to hear about real estate listings before they're real estate listings. In other words, they haven't hit any of the websites you can check out. They haven't even hit other professional websites that only real estate agents have access to. It's kind of like the little secret that you're going to discover at the end of the program today. But to start the ball rolling this morning, we always like to start with some kind of a market update. Who wants to do that for us today?
Wow, where do we start with that?
Yeah.
The market, as we've talked for weeks and now months, very, very strong still. We say low inventory, almost no inventory. Every price point under 1 month of inventory. Some of them at 1 week, 14 days. So again, very challenging for buyers, very rewarding for sellers. So last week we had 114 new listings come on, and 214 go under contract. So still 100 less than what went on the market. So we're expecting to see the same thing for some time.
And we've had that for months now. Every week we report to the listeners the fact that the new listings is half that of the new ones that are going under contract. So that is exactly why Matt mentioned we see these inventories continue to draw down. We didn't think they could get lower. Well, they still are looking that way.
Well, but that's also why it's so important to be in the know. To have a resource to find out about the property before they go live. Same thing with our buyers. We're working for not just homes that are on the market, Todd. We are looking for those homes that would be maybe in 6 months or 3 months, to get them to our buyers, get our buyers in there, and match them up, and that makes everybody happy.
As a consequence of this market such as it is, are you finding a lot of folks are saying, gee, I was not considering selling right now. It was not on my radar, but I think maybe the time is right. Can I find out what my home is worth? Can you come tell me what my home might be worth? That kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Daily we run into those calls, and we've got a wonderful group of internal sales agents that are on the phones daily with people like that are calling because they've talked to their neighbor, they found out what's going on, and they get excited, but they didn't realize the value of their home.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
It's the value. Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, I listed one last night that was a for sale by owner that I was so happy to meet with them because they didn't realize they'd underpriced at $20,000.
Wow.
And this was, a mid one, $150,000, $160,000 house. So to be that's a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
So we did adjust the price, and it will go on appropriately. But Yeah, that's the other is not knowing if you're not in the business every day, not knowing how fast inventory is changing, and which then also is changing the pricing.
Absolutely. And a free evaluation, a comparative market analysis, I think you call it, can be obtained just by calling. I want to give this contact information out frequently. Call 941-621-8600. That's 621-8600. When I say comprehensive, you take so much into consideration. It's not just an educated guess or a ballpark figure or something like that.
And that's 100% right. You know, I think a lot of people out there are familiar with the Zillow Zestimate, as they call it. But that's off the mark these days. It's typically been off the mark, but now, you know, that's based on a blind algorithm where they're taking comparable sales in the area and tax data and things like that. They're not taking into consideration the current inventory, the lack of inventory.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to mention updates.
The updates that you've done to your house, the kitchens, the bathrooms, the impact windows versus non-impact windows. Those are the things that we're looking at, and we're paying such a close attention these days to. Obviously, we look at what's sold in the area for comparable sales, but we're looking very closely at what's available. What's that inventory look? Because as we know, as supply shrinks and demand increases, that's going to increase the values, and that's what we've run into for the last 6 months.
So those online estimators, and there's more than one of them I know, in a regular market, you might be able to pay attention to, but you can't. They can't adjust for something as dynamic as the market we have right now.
Well, that's right, because it is only going off of sold, which I know we're bumping the clock here, but when we come back, I want to talk more about that. Versus active comps, as well as appraisals and what's going on there, because we're getting having a lot of conversations around that. But yes, they are not near as accurate right now than they were before.
You'll have to forgive me, gentlemen, because I do not have my sheet in front of me that I normally have giving me the rundown of the program. Is there anything else you wanted to squeeze into segment one before we take a break?
Yeah, let's run through events real quick, because we've got a lot happening in this great town this weekend.
Yeah, cool things. Kicking off tomorrow night, Thursday night, May 13th, Waterfront Music Jam Session, 6 to 10 p.m. At Fisherman's Village. Always a hot spot and a great place to be at.
Okay.
Yeah, then on Saturday the 15th, Annual Southwest, I'm excited about this one, Florida Wing Fest and craft beer at the City Market from 3 to 8. As well as you've got Five Guys Car Show, and that is from 3 to 6 on Saturday. Then Not Guilty is playing live at TT's, and Birds of a Feather is playing live at the PG Social House.
And circling back around to Wingfest, just notice this year they've got over 50 craft brews available to sample and enjoy. That's phenomenal. I'm very impressed.
That is awesome.
Also on Saturday, Fisherman's Village having the Celtic Music Festival between noon and 4. So it's really busy, isn't it?
It is. It's going to be a great weekend. I know it's hot, so everybody's got to be careful there. But yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. On Sunday also, we've got live music at TT's with Paul Rush from 3 to 7. Mm-hmm. And then I thought it was interesting to mention, because I've kind of wanted to do this, Firefly Sky has painting with a twist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I've never done it. Heard great things about it, so I thought I'd put that out there.
Yeah, my wife's done that a couple times. Yeah. She's really enjoyed that, and turns out pretty well. I mean, everything, she's really enjoyed it. They've had a lot of fun. It's a great organization, great owners there, and they come up with some good pictures, some creative stuff.
Yeah. Wow, this is why people are flocking to our area, because we've got the greatest stuff going on and lots of choices. All right, gentlemen, let's take our first time out on the program here. We'll be right back with our next segment momentarily. You are listening to Real Estate Exposed on News Radio WCCF. Let's go back to Matt and Scott. Guys, welcome back.
Hey, we're here. Thank you.
Hey, yeah. I know we left off, wanting to cover a little bit more about that, but I did want to mention on events. Tomorrow is the Red Day that we've talked so much about, and that's right. Yep. And of course we are still raising money for Valerie's house. Red Day will be tomorrow from 12 to 3 at Lashley Crab House outside.
Okay, all right. And for those who might not remember, that's the day of giving back to the community that all Keller Williams representatives do each year, correct?
That's right. Across the country, all Keller Williams pick one day. It's Old Red Day, and they everyone has their choice. Each office to choose what community event or charity that they want to get involved with. We did Homeless Coalition last year. The Veterans House. So definitely, there's so many great causes out there. But yes, all offices, if you will, they don't shut down, but pretty close, and spend the day giving back to the community.
And Valerie's House, for those who might not remember, because you had a guest on us well over a month ago now, that explained to us a very unique idea. It's a home devoted to helping kids with their grief, kids who lose a parent or a sibling or something along those lines grieve very differently than adults do. And a lot of times the focus is on the adults and the grief process, not so much the kids. So Valerie's House could use donations, could use a donation of time and volunteering, and that's what tomorrow's all about.
Yeah, it's not just about monetary. I mean, if you have a giving heart for that, great. If you want to give with your time, fantastic as well. They have a lot of different needs and would just love your participation in any way.
Yeah, if that interests anyone, simply give us a call here at the office and we can get you plugged into the right place for tomorrow. 941-621-8600. Ask for Scott, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got, and we can get you on the right track so that you can be a part of tomorrow's wonderful event.
Wonderful, and thanks for the give back, guys. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Our pleasure.
Something that's been kind of on my mind as we talk about this really dynamic real estate market in Southwest Florida, and that's kind of a broad territory. Is there any areas that seem to be more popular, more dynamic than others?
I keep leaning towards new construction's on a real roll.
It has to be, Todd, because of again the inventory numbers.
Lack of inventory, a high amount of demand. We've only got so many resale houses out there, and we're seeing that with these massive developments that are going in all over our community, and as we head north and south. But I think more development to the north. I really think that's going to be a focal point for this local economy, for our real estate market, and for people that live in the area for the next year, if not two, because some of these communities, you talk about Welland Park, which I always get excited about, 7,000 acres. You're talking development over the next 5 to 7 years to fill up something of that size. But we're seeing the real impact, the real change to our local landscape and the economy happening over the next year, and I think it's going to be exciting.
Well, okay, and I know you definitely have talked about Welland Park and what I keep seeing too is all the custom ones as well. Well, sure, on a half acre, or a standard lot, whether it's PGI, Port Charlotte, and then my goodness, all the commercial development, restaurants. I don't know how many tire shops we need, but I can tell you I think we're covered. They're popping up everywhere. So that shows you the amount of people, the amount of service that's needed. It's exciting. I will say. It is.
Here's another thought on the very same kind of subject, because there's always the question, when is this market going to face some decline or cool off, if you will, that kind of thing? With the announcement that the Sunseeker Resort construction may resume by the end of the year, I'm thinking that's only going to require more labor, more people in the area, more homes are going to be needed. I see this continuing on. Any opinion on that?
Well, we saw that article, and I think we all got excited to see Sunseeker back in the news, but they left things pretty wide open. Yeah. There was certainly no definitive answer that we're going back to work on August 1st, and here's our completion date. But it is encouraging to know that those cranes will be moving again, and that the trucks will be rolling in and out of there again, which is a good sign for the economy, both nationally and locally. We just don't have a definitive answer yet.
Well, I think everybody wants to see it. One way or the other. I mean, not just setting in that position. Depressing. Well, it is. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, to your question, Todd. So because I think about the listener. I mean, what's going to help them? What do they need to know on this? I do agree with that. As far as it is going to increase the demand for housing. Think of the amount of people that it's going to take to work and develop that, and then to staff it. So then that takes me into investment property. Obviously, I'm very passionate about rentals. And I have a lot of investors that we help manage their portfolios. I've got some that are selling, their portfolios off right now. Market is strong. Others ask me, should I? Well, to me, that's all about time. I mean, meaning if these homes are something that you planned on selling in the next few years, and we're just waiting on the market to get up higher, well then absolutely it's a great time. If you are not looking to sell off your income property and want to have it long term, let's say 15, 20 years plus, then that's not an issue. As far as buying investment property, to me it is always a good time to buy investment property. It's if you're buying it right. Everyone knows that it's all in the buy. Of course. So
okay, I'm glad that you said it that way, because that's what I've been thinking as well. The need for investment properties coming up. If Sunseeker follows through with the what's been said, it's going to be there.
Exactly. And it's already been here, quite honestly. Even without Sunseeker, we are still upside down on inventory for rentals as well. Sadly, what we're seeing is I've got a lot of homes that are coming on the market and that we're selling that have been investment properties, and now the renters have to find something else, and maybe they were paying $1,200 and been there for a long time, and now that home's $1,500 a month, or the ones they're looking at. What I say to that is, depending on where you're at, and if home ownership is, if you're interested in that at all, and owning something, well then you need to look at that before you go sign another lease. Because many times we can get you into a home cheaper than what you're going to pay on rent. With a mortgage. With a mortgage. But look at interest. I know, and that's it's the perfect time to get out of a rental and get into your own home. If that's something that you want.
Let me ask this question too, and I know we're bumping our head against time, so we may have to continue this on the other side of the break as well, but I want to at least set up the concept. I've known people who have, I do my recommendations all the time. Hey, call Matthew Patterson. Well, I want to work with several different agents. I don't want to pin myself down. I don't want to, just choose one date to go to the ball, so to speak.
Sure.
Is there any logic to that?
Boy, that's a big topic.
I don't know if you want to talk about that when we come back, or
we should probably circle when we get back. But ultimately, the answer to that is yes, it is important to be working with one agent. But I'd like to explain why. We really like to give the reasons why that's beneficial to you instead of bouncing from one to another. Because ultimately, we want each person to have the best experience.
Well, and I understand. They're thinking and how they attempt that, but I can tell you, being in the business, yes, we have a lot to say on that.
Okay, and I leave it to me to open Pandora's box, so we'll just put a pin in that, come right back around to finish up that topic.
All right.
Next, when we come back with more Real Estate Exposed on News Radio WCCF. Welcome back to Real Estate Exposed on News Radio WCCF, brought to you by the Patterson Group at Keller Williams. And we have got ourselves kind of off-kilter program. My bad, my fault entirely. I kind of opened up Pandora's box before the last break and opened up a big subject that needs more of a deep dive, so to speak. Before we get into that, though, let me give you the contact info again. realestateexposed.com is a website that can follow. You can follow up on any of the, especially the listings that you're going to hear a little bit later on. And the phone number is 941-621-8600. The question I asked was about going with a single agent versus multiple agents, and both Scott and Matt went, oh boy, that's a big topic. What about it, guys?
Well, it is a big topic, Todd, because it's something that we're super passionate about explaining, because it comes up often, and we see we hear a lot of people after the fact that say, "Oh my goodness, I wish I would have went this way before."
Yeah, and we hear the pitfalls, and we want to help people with that. And I have an analogy that I like to use with our clients that help them understand that. And I always say, look, I've got a family doctor. It's a family doctor that we've had for 15 years. And we love going to see him, even though he's not as easy to get to as some of the urgent cares in the area. But every time we go, he knows our background, he knows our history, he knows our past illnesses, and he understands who we are. And so that he can properly diagnose us when we need him, because he understands our history. And we get so much better care from him instead of going, and urgent cares are great, but if you go there 3 or 4 times over 6 months, rarely do you ever see the same doctor.
Right.
Rarely do they know who you are. And yes, you're going to get service, but are you going to be as comfortable with that service and maybe get the same level of care as you would from a family doctor? And that's why we say finding an agent that you love and trust and have confidence in, who can protect your needs, and better yet, gets to know who you are and what your needs are, ultimately is going to be a better result than if you're just shopping from one agent to another. I saw this home with this agent, this home with this agent, and this home with another agent. They never get to know really what is going to serve you best.
Well, serve you and what the goals of the client are.
Right.
Short term and long term. Because I've got many that are going to purchase this first house and ultimately end up turning it into a rental or doing something else. So there's other factors that come in that if you didn't know them and have that history with them, it's hard to help advise.
That's right.
And we run into this, especially the way that with what the market's doing right now, Todd. That to put it out, what happens is clients are. Meeting agents online. Obviously, there is a lot of them and a lot of great ones. So please understand that.
Absolutely.
If you have an agent that is taking care of you, has your interest at heart, and it negotiates well for you, and providing the correct service, then stay with them. We tell people that all the time. But what happens is it is so competitive right now to get these homes. You've got 8, 10, offers on one property. Well, naturally, only one family or individual can get that house. So now you've got, let's say, 9 that are back out there looking for a home. Well, after they miss out on 2, 3, 4 of them, they think, okay, I'm going to start going to the listing agent. And I'm going to have, that's going to help hedge my bets and getting the deal. And that is not always the situation. So it's really about how was those contracts written? Was any, were they as clean as possible, meaning concessions and inspection periods and things that as a seller, I would be looking at it going, oh, this might not make it to the closing. Because that's ultimately what it's about is people want security, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's so stick with your agent if you've got a great one. Trust in that, and you're going to get service the best.
And we've run into it time and time again where someone has looked at 6 properties in Charlotte County with 3 different agents. And so now you've got 3 agents that don't necessarily understand that they're not entirely representing their client. I had one just last week where the seller decided to select that offer. I called the agent called the client, and the buyer said, well, I've already put offers in on other properties with other agents. Ultimately, the poor buyer ended up with nothing. He did himself a disservice and lost out on countless deals because...
Well, the time lapsed.
And he had too many cooks in the kitchen.
That's right, exactly.
Too many cooks in the kitchen is not going to be beneficial to you. Now, we're not saying that you find one agent and you stick with them even though they may not have great experience or may not be
servicing
as comfortable.
You
may not be as comfortable with them. Find someone that you like and that you're comfortable with and that you have absolute confidence in, and then let them do their job, because ultimately at the end of the day you will be better served.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
A very deep subject. I'm glad I brought it up in a way, too. I'm sorry I put the burden of so much time on you.
No, it's good to talk about because we do run into it weekly, if not daily, at this point. People are... out there anxious about getting home, so they're going to try anything they can, and sometimes in their mind it's better just to call every listing agent that we want to look at. We'll be in a better shape. That is not necessarily the case.
Okay. The other side of the coin, and let's continue to stick with the doctor analogy for just a moment here. If I'm selling my home, and I'm not really satisfied with what's going on, is it worth getting a second opinion? Do you ever get called in to render a second opinion, so to speak?
All the time.
Absolutely. And when you're talking on the selling of the house side, I'm assuming, correct, Todd?
Yes, right, exactly.
We do. We get that weekly. Again, people that don't feel that they're being promised or not being serviced the way they were promised when they sat down at the kitchen table and signed that listing agreement. They've lost trust in their agent, and typically that comes about because there's a lack of communication. After that listing gets signed and it goes on the market, sometimes the phone can go dead and you can't get someone on the phone. We've run into that for years. That's a normal thing. And it's something that we worked very diligently at here and have overcome that. We have incredible communication with our sellers. They know what's going on every step of the way.
And we are not perfect, but it is
not at
in
all
the forefront, and it is a mission of ours to, no matter how many homes we have listed.
Well, it's part of our promise.
Well, it is.
It's part of our promise that we make to every client, that you will understand every step of the way and everything, the goods and the bads, because not everything's all through rose-colored glasses, but they're going to understand what's going on in the market. They're going to understand what's going on with their property. So if you're in that position and you feel like maybe you need some advice, we're not going to step on anybody's toes, and we don't want to take anyone's clients, but we're happy to counsel with you and see if there's a way that maybe you can work better with the current agent you have, or if you need to seek some advice to try and find someone else.
Sometimes it can be small tweaks too. I mean, it's not always major things. As far as having that home ready for the market the correct way, and to not only get showings but get offers.
Well, and sometimes it's peace of mind as well. It may be that your current agent is doing everything the right way. It's good to have a second voice say, hey, listen, I'm looking at what they're doing, and they're right on the money.
And we have those talks, too. That absolutely happens. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Matt. There's one thing that I do get rather upset about is when I do hear sellers that say, hey, I used a friend of a friend or a relative, and they're located out of Miami.
Oh, yeah.
And that person put their listing in the wrong MLS. It's showing up for a Port Charlotte listing in the Miami MLS, but it's not showing up in Charlotte County. Right. That part does frustrate me. That is something that should not happen, and unfortunately does. Or we're right up against another MLS to our south. The breaking line is Punta Gorda. So there's a separate one for Cape Coral and Fort Myers, which we utilize as well. But we find agents that come up from Cape Coral, don't utilize the local Punta Gorda MLS and post it in the Fort Myers MLS. Well, I mean, gosh, what is that doing to your chances? You're not even putting it in front of the right buyers. That's where, changes need to be made.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Todd, it is hard for me when I get that phone call and somebody, hey, my family live, in Jacksonville. I told them, you're great. I want them to work with you. Can you list their home? It is hard for me to say, I'm not going to be able to service it properly, because obviously I would love to have that business. I'd love to work with them, but it's the right thing to do. And so Scott is right. One thing I say is by all, please, if you do anything, get someone that works your area, that knows it intimately. As far as here, one big is different waterways. Freshwater versus saltwater. I mean, agents from Miami or other parts of the state, they do not understand our boating. They do not understand, Punta Gorda Isles, Burnt Shore Isles, Deep Creek Association rules, all of the things that are important to communicate for buyers. And I have to tell you, that's where a lot of their struggles come in. And we have listed so many of them. And so definitely. Get someone that knows your area, is in your area, and gonna be able to serve you right.
Matt brings up a great point. We will get phone calls from people in our area looking to purchase in Orlando or Winter Gardens, and it's not that we don't want to service them, but we don't feel that it's fair to have our agents go up to Winter Gardens to show homes in an area they're not sure where the schools are or the hospitals are, or those very important questions. But what we do is we do our research,
to find the right agent in those areas.
And most of them we have relationships now.
Yeah, we already.
I mean, after 10 years, we've built those relationships to have the same quality of agent to service you there.
Yeah, so don't hesitate to call us if you're looking outside of our area or even outside of our state. We can find you the best person in that area that can best service your needs.
Right, it may not be you, but you'll find somebody who is, let's just say, equivalent and able to take care of your needs.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, I did the same thing for my sister in Orlando.
Yeah, you did.
I couldn't serve. So, I mean, it was my sister, but it was the right thing to do.
We are up against the clock once again. I did have some more questions I wanted to squeeze in, but let's go ahead and take a timeout, and then we can get to our top picks of the week on the other side of the break. You're listening to Real Estate Exposed on News Radio WCCF. Let's go back to Matt and Scott. Before we get into the top picks, just real quick, I wanted to get this question because I see this all the time, and I've been so curious myself. Not that I am an investor at this particular point in my life, but if I were, I see so much land, so many lots that are coming on the market. Is it a good time to buy a lot and sit on it?
I'll let Scott answer, and then I'll give you mine.
Okay.
These questions feel like they could be loaded at some point, but I mean,
they're great questions. It's what the people want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I got to go back to if you're looking to investment, then yes, if it's the right time in your life, financially, personally, to make an investment, making an investment in dirt, as we call it, is absolutely a good way to go. Now, I say that kind of tongue in cheek because if we look back at 2008, 2009, when a lot of people were having that same mentality.
We had a lot of friends
and
that lost a lot.
Amen. Yeah. And they were buying things hand over fist, and the market got away from us. And we know what happened in 2010, and many of the people have been stuck with that. The challenge has been, but I don't think we're in that type of a market right now. We're not seeing that.
I know we're not in that type of a market.
That's right. So okay. I feel that it is a good time. And the nice thing about buying land is that you don't have the upkeep. You don't have the insurance. In many cases, you don't even have to keep it mowed. It's a pretty strong investment. Once you're paying the taxes on it, which are minimal, it can be a good way to go. Now, it depends on where you're looking at land, and we're happy to talk to you about that. But I think it can be a strong investment, yes.
All right. Matt?
Yeah, so, well, I agree with most of what Scott said. I will say, yes, if you're buying in Deep Creek or PGI or, any place like that, you are going to have to keep it mowed. If not, they're going to mow it, and they're going to charge you for it. But yes, very low carrying cost. That's why a lot of investors like to invest in land. Your taxes are going to be much cheaper than if it was a home. Mm-hmm. Of course, you don't have as much you don't have the income coming off of it.
Right.
Unless it is agriculture and you could lease it for cattle, so on and so forth. Do I think it's a great time? I think it is a wonderful time. Okay. I think 2-3 years ago was even better to buy land, but that ship is sailed.
Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20.
That's right. But I have a lot of investors that are buying all the dirt they can get their hands on. Okay. Grandfather said, to me 40 years ago, is that they quit making it a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I think we know we are in an amazing place that has had a lot of room for development that is now taken back off. What I would say is do not spend the grocery money.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have, the reserves and your finances, correct, then I absolutely think it's a great time to buy property.
All right.
And on top of that, take a look at what we discussed earlier in the show and have discussed in previous shows, the boom in new construction. Those homes are going to have to end up somewhere.
They are. Now, obviously, the inflation, the cost of building is, it's been pretty substantial lately. I will say I was talking to a builder on Monday morning at a meeting, and he said, it has not let up one bit. The permits have not slowed up. So far, those increases have not affected and they haven't lost people that were going to build. I think one at that time. Will that continue? I don't know. It's going to depend on what the inflation does on those building costs. I'm rambling, but
it's just nice to know that you can, if you want to invest in real estate, it does not have to be four walls necessarily at this point.
It does not.
Okay.
No, that is absolutely right. What I would also say, though, is definitely get a professional's opinion, get it checked out, do your feasibility study, which is like an inspection period, if you will, Todd. Sure that you understand all the unforeseen costs that could come in to building on that land. Or, is it in a scrub J zone?
Oh,
Right.
Wetlands.
Does it need a foot of dirt, or does it need 5 foot of dirt to put your new home on it? Because again, building codes are changing all the time too in the requirements. So, yes, but yes, with the right due diligence, I would absolutely.
So if anybody sees a lot, sees some property they're interested in, just call 941-621-8600, and they'll be glad to advise you. I want to hear about the top picks of the week. This is always a fast-paced and fun part of the show.
Well, we are excited to give them to you. I wish I had even more, but we do have a fair amount here, and we're excited to talk about it.
And I'm gonna just jump in front here because I've got breaking news.
Okay.
Literally 10 minutes before I came on the show, we had a conversation with the seller. We're repositioning a wonderful little home in Arcadia, repositioning it $200,000. It's a 1,358 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home on a double lot. So you're getting nearly a half acre of property there. $200,000 is the sweet spot. There's so many people in our area looking for that price point now. I have not even changed this on the MLS system. This is not public knowledge. Anyone listening
it is
now. But only you people that are listening to the show know about this. So give me a call, because by the time this gets changed this afternoon, I will have offers by tomorrow morning.
That is a terrific price point, too, as we've been talking about over the past few weeks. That's a number that we're not seeing as much anymore as we used to.
That's right, and I better give the address so people know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
11442 Southwest Orange Avenue, Arcadia, Florida. So give me a call about Orange Avenue. I'll give you all the details, get you to the front of the line.
Sounds good.
All right, so rock and roll here, because I know we're short on time. And this one here, again, ink is barely dry on it. Signed it last night for $179,000. A Port Charlotte home for $179,000, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, with a carport. It was, I want to make sure I don't mess up the year. It was built in 1962. Concrete block house, new AC 2 years ago, ready to move in. It is 1,186 square feet under air, and that is at 2321 Starlight Lane, Port Charlotte.
That's right in the heart of really basically everything, certainly near the hospitals and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's on a great corner lot, so you have a lot of yard. So that one will go quick at $179,000.
All right, I've got one in my neighborhood, so I'm looking for some new neighbors. I've got a sailboat golf access property at 17140 Seashore Avenue, Port Charlotte, 33948. This is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage with a pool. As I mentioned, sailboat golf access, built 2006. Over 2,200 square feet. Now, not going on the market till May 24th, but we'll be listing that at $575,000. These saltwater front homes move so quickly, and this is a great neighborhood that is really centrally located.
It's a great neighborhood, and it's got a great rental history too, Todd. That's why it's not going on until then, because they have been renting that
Airbnb.
So, if it's something where you're wanting to buy a second home but have some income, it has already been rented. So it does have some great history.
Terrific to know.
Yes, sir. Now we're going to Deep Creek. We're going to my neighborhood. This home we had it on the market. It went under contract very quickly. It is an Adams built 4-bedroom, 2-bath home with a double lot, fenced in. Sadly, the financing fell through. So that's why it's going back on. So it was through inspections. It was through everything. This house is ready to go and could actually be, moved into in a week if needed. It is 25940 Asen Drive. It is priced at $349,900, and that is with both lots. This home was built in 2006.
I know that area of Deep Creek. I know Deep Creek like the back of my hand, but Asen is very easy access, for example, to get onto Sand Hill Boulevard and get where you're going. It's a good place to live inside Deep Creek, which is a good place to live.
It is, and this one's kind of in the back, which I like. But also, what I really love is when you walk out the backyard, no one can build behind you. So it's in preserve. So you're gonna, that green belt always going to have privacy behind you, which is fantastic.
All right, Scott, your turn.
We talked earlier about if you're in a rental situation, considering buying, looking for a home where your mortgage payment could be lower than your rent. I've got one coming. 1742 Mango Street, Port Charlotte, 33980, going on the market at $149,900. Now, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but even at that price point, there's so many people, those first-time home buyers, looking for properties like this where you can get into a mortgage payment that will be less than your rent in most cases. Give me a call on this one. I believe, and I'm looking to Matt right now to double check, but I think we're going on Thursday, tomorrow, on that.
Yeah,
on this one. So give me a call today. We can get you in to take a look at it before we expose it to the public.
Before we go back to Matt, too, let me just point out, if you are thinking about selling your home and you're listening to this saying, gee, that's a unique way of advertising my home for sale. I wish I could do that. You certainly can. Just call the Patterson Group at 941-621-8600, and they'll fill you in on the details.
All right, so I love this house. These are past clients of ours. This was their rental property. It is ready to move into. It is not currently rented. It is at 1084 Archer Street. It is not on the market yet. It will be going on tomorrow. And it is priced at $199,900. It is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It has a 1-car garage, but it's oversized and it's double in depth. As well as it has a drive going down the side of the house, and it has RV parking in the rear with a carport.
Nice.
It is just a dynamite house. I know it will go very quickly. 1,356 square feet for $199,000.
Another great one for first-time home buyers. And if you're sitting out there wondering what you can get qualified for, give us a quick call. We'll connect you with some great mortgage brokers in the area that can answer the question simply about what does a mortgage for a $200,000 home look like.
Well, and you have to know your purchasing power before you go out there.
Absolutely.
Because things are moving so quick.
That's right. So don't let the unknowing keep you from making the right move. Give us a call and we'll help answer questions. That takes me to back to Deep Creek, one for you, Todd.
Okay.
25439 Tevison Court, Punta Gorda, 33983. $389,900, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2-car garage with a pool on a cul-de-sac on a greenbelt in Deep Creek. Checks just about every box that you need. Almost 2,400, 2,371 square feet, built in 1990.
And what was the address on that? I spoke and it kind of dropped out.
No problem. 25439 Tevison. It will be on the market as of tomorrow.
Yeah, that is a cul-de-sac street, so it's very private back there.
All right. We're starting to run out of time. I know there's probably more listings, but of course, everybody can follow up by calling 941-621-8600 or going to realestateexposed.com. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and information today.
Thanks, Todd.
Our pleasure.
Right. We'll talk to you next week as we bring you more Real Estate Exposed on News Radio WCCF.
So crucial to have, the correct marketing so your home stands out.
The various